Blog Talk Radio.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The time is here, and the microphones, and they wanna know. So turn. If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The crowd is here, and the lights are on, and they wanna show. A fresh, cool young Lou, trying to cash his microphone check 212. Wanna believe my own hype, but it's too untrue. The world brought me to my knees. What if you brung you? Did you improve on the design? Did you do something new? Where your name in on the guest list? Who brung you? You, the more famous person, you come through, and the sexy lady next to you, you come too. And then the hitman standing outside of heaven, waiting for God to come and get me. I'm too uncouth, unschooled to the rules, and too gumshoe. Too much of a newcomer and too uncool, like Shadow in the Veil. I battle with it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Epiphany Radio Spotlight, presentation of Epiphany Radio, the For Real Entertainment Network. Where tonight, we are spotlighting the poet, the artist, Johnny C. Weaver. I am your host, Van Meadows, for the evening, a.k.a. Poetic, and I am joined by Lady Inkwell and Sexy Sag. Hey, ladies, how y'all doing?
Hello, King.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Phenomenal. I am excited to be here. If you're listening in online, the dial-in number is 319-527-6300. Press 1 to get on the mic to join us. Now, without further ado, Lady Inkwell, let them know who we got.
All right, we have our guest, Johnny C. Weaver. He's a spoken word artist from Spartanburg, South Carolina, who has performed all over the United States. He is the co-founder of Spokenword, Spartanburg, and Timeless Poetry. He is also the founder of Poetry and Conversation, an organization that brought diverse individuals together to have genuine conversations about race. He is also the founder of Slammadness, a 3-day bracket-style tournament featuring several workshops. He has been a slam coach for several slam teams and continues to mentor our youth with spoken word.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we present to you Johnny C. Weaver. Welcome, poet. How are you, my friend?
Thank you. Man, thank you. With that introduction, I was waiting on like somebody else to get on the mic. Like, who what you talking about? Happening.
Phenomenal. Hey, man, absolutely. You know, your bio says that you're a native Spartanburg. Spartanburg's your home?
Yes. Well, actually, I was in West Africa, and they stole like my ancestors and brought us over here, and we settled here. But yeah, pretty much, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
My brother, I love that, man. I love that. Yes, they did. Hey, man, you know, Akil Ali, who is the usual host of the show, man, he has this one question that I love when he asks. And if he was here, he would say to you, when did you first know that you was a poet?
You know, it's interesting because I get that question sometimes, and I always answer it the same. I come from like a family of entertainers, and I have a cousin, Jodine Haywood, who actually, I don't know if you ever heard the song, I Want to Wrap You in My Warm and Tender Love. I think like Otis Redding like remade it, but he originally wrote it. So I come from like a family of entertainers and things like that. But I'll answer that question a couple of different ways. One is I knew I liked to be in front of people and on a stage when I was a little kid, just mimicking like skits and things I saw on TV. And I always wrote poetry, but I came along during that hip-hop era. So with hip-hop and you know, of course I was an MC and I rhymed and I did all this. I was in theater in school and did some stand-up and all of that. And when that kind of faded, I remember Moody Black and I have been friends since we were, you know, old enough to know what a friend is. And he kept telling me about all this traveling he was doing. I'm like, why are you in Texas, dude? Like, what are you doing? And he was trying to explain, you know, it was really kind of when everybody didn't know what slam was. And one of my mentors opened up a venue, and I was able to finally go with my work schedule. I was able to go, and I remember that night after I left, I couldn't sleep, and I was just laying in the bed, and I came up with a poem. I said, I'm gonna spit next week, and kind of went from there. But I guess to answer the question, like I've always had a love for the arts. I always had a love for poetry. Always had a love for like this literature as a whole. And I think when I went that night, and you know, after the days of rapping and doing whatever, that night I was like, wow, I was so excited. I had to go back and spit. And then after I spit that one poem a couple of times, I was like, okay, I need to write something else. And it just kind of went from there. And then I went to Southern Fried, and the rest is history.
Nice. Now, some of us as poets, I know for myself, I started writing when I was 14, and I wrote because I didn't have anyone else to turn to talk to, so I was comfortable talking with my diary. And I say that to ask you this question: do you remember that first poem that you spit, that first poem that you wrote? Do you remember it?
I remember the concept of it. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, it was. I don't know if you remember the group. I think I was maybe like 6th grade, something like that. And we had to write like a group of poems or whatever for a poetry book. And you know, it was what an 11-year-old knew about. Like, you know, the young lady I liked, and I put like Careless Whisper from Wham in there somewhere, and you know, all that good stuff.
Okay.
So, you know. Nice. I always tell my kids, nice. You write a dope poem, you get a dope girl or a dope queen. Let me say it like that.
I like it. Sexy Sash, you got a question for Johnny C. Weaver?
Yes. Hi, King.
How you doing, Queen?
As you say, you mentor the youth. I had one little king ask me a question. I might be listening tonight. But anywho, we all go through it at some point in time. When we listen to another poet or we read something and we're trying to advance ourselves, sometimes we get sidetracked or even discouraged. What would you say to them? How to keep their path at the same time of acknowledging another?
You can't get caught up in what someone else is doing because they're telling their story. You have to tell your story. And absolutely. I told a group of kids yesterday at the DJJ, I was like, if someone else tells your story, it's not going to be accurate. It's not going to be with the same passion. So I would always tell them, write your story, and eventually you're gonna write so much that someone else is going to hear you, and they're going to look at you the way you're looking at this other person.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Lady Inkwell.
Hey. Okay, so you said that you were writing your own rhymes, and I just want to know, who were you influenced by from a hip-hop standpoint and also from a poetry standpoint?
As far as hip-hop, like I came through at a very unique time because you kind of got to see it from its inception. So when I was younger, Run DMC, groups like that, Houdini, I was fortunate enough to be able to see them perform. When you kind of got in the 90s with late 80s, early 90s, Big Daddy Kane. Just pretty much everything that was out, before. Well, let me ask the question: Is this free speech radio or this PG-13?
Very free, my brother. Very free.
Okay, so before hip hop became, be this and that, I got so much money. I mean, you liked everybody. But probably if I had to say I had an all-time kind of favorite, I think before Tupac before Death Row, I think he embodied what it meant to be a Nubian male and living in America. As far as poetry, I don't really get I'm not a huge fan of like the big names. I like people that are more kind of real, like people that I know. And I remember, I don't know so much how if it's an influence as far as poetry, but C.P. Mays out of Houston, Texas, the first slam I was ever in, I came in second place to him, and I got like a time penalty. I lost by like maybe 0.7 of a point with the time penalty or whatever. And I think at the time he was, supposed to be ranked like number 3 in the world. And I was like, wow, like that's, if I need to put a little bit more effort in here, but if I'm able to contend with this guy, and over the years, he and I got a pretty good friendship as far as this. I look forward to conversing with him and just kind of seeing where he was and just kind of having good, genuine conversation with another Nubian male. I don't think we have that enough.
That is so true. That is so true. So true indeed. Now, my brother, you do a lot of work with the youth, and you're a slam coach and you're a mentor. Tell us a little bit about that. Your bio gave us a nice intro, but how deep is it really for you?
I'll put it like this. I was 16 years old when I started volunteering working with kids, and as of last Monday, I turned 47. I've literally worked with thousands upon thousands upon thousands of kids, and people always ask me like, well, you hadn't had any problems. What's your major issue? And I always tell them, usually when you meet a person where they're at and you show them respect, you're fine. Like they want that part. So I pretty much, coached for 20 years. I worked in the school system for about 8 years. As far as that's why we added the whole poetry workshop for young people with Slammadness. Very big on we have to start cultivating people to take our place. My grandmother used to say when people stand up in church and Van, you're gonna feel me because we're in the South. You had to go to church before you had a choice to go. So you got up every Sunday and went to church. Right. And my grandmother used to say, when people stand up and say, "Hey, I've been the secretary for 20 years," and my grandmother would always say, "Well, that's fine, but who are you training up to take your place when you leave?" And I feel like with poets coming through, whether I was mentoring them or just mentoring kids, you have to have somebody that's ready to step into this movement after, our day is done. And as we start, ushering out of poetry, I want to make sure that it's fine. And I said this to a couple of young poets this past Sunday at a venue. I said, this is the first time in a long time where I felt like this scene here in the upstate was stable once we move on to the next part of next chapter of our life. And I said, that's the biggest compliment I can pay you guys. So that's pretty much how I feel about, getting people in place once we, go to the next thing or whatever. I don't think we do that enough. And that's why one of the things I try to do with my events is I try to get people that have never hosted before but have the personality to do it, to host events, to try to get people that have the best poems but nobody hears them because they keep them hid in their notebook, under their bed, under, in a safe. And I'm like, you never know what you say, that you first write something to heal yourself. But after you do it so much and you're healed, now it's to heal somebody else who's going through the same thing, but they don't know how to express it. So.
Yes, sir. Phenomenal. Inkwell, you got another question?
Yeah. Okay. With you mentioning your mentoring, who mentored you when you were growing up? What piece of advice or a certain somebody that influenced you throughout your life?
That is a great question. Very good question. Of course. Well, let me say this. I want to put this out here. Like, my mom was murdered when I was 2. So my grandparents raised me. So my grandmother and my grandfather both were polar opposites. My grandfather was a manly man. You do it this way. This is the way to do it. You don't complain or whatever. My grandmother was, the typical big mama. Come here, baby. Let me feed you. Let me give you a hug. You all right? You're okay. So definitely those two. But outside of my family, I had a gentleman. I was friends with his son, and his name is Epiphsny, and he actually opened up the venue that I went to that night and eventually started hosting. He was definitely one of my mentors. It was funny because his sons weren't into the things he was into, and he looked at me like, hey, I can have this conversation with you as a young man, and, what's your feelings on this, and so on and so forth. And I will say that there was another individual in my neighborhood. I grew up in a neighborhood where people owned their homes. So if you didn't know the people that stayed there, you knew the family that stayed there, if that makes sense. The grandmother passed away. You may have known the grandmother, but now the daughter's in the house, or so on and so forth. And there was a guy in my neighborhood named Jeff Kelly, who always kind of took up time with everybody in the neighborhood. And I'll say this very quickly. Marcus Lattimore, the young man that played down in South Carolina a couple of years ago, I think he coaches down there with Will Muschamp. His family, his grandfather, we all grew up in the same neighborhood, and his family. But his grandfather had did the same thing that, Jeff and those guys did to us. He had did that to them. So I was very fortunate to grow up in a neighborhood with a lot of positive role models, male role models, and I really don't believe in that whole thing when people say, oh, they didn't have any guy to look up to. It doesn't have to be family or whatever. You always have someone to look up to, whether it be, your coach or whoever. And I was fortunate enough to have so many people. But those are the two that stand out, Jeff Kelly and Epiphsny.
That's awesome. Awesome. Sexy Sage, go ahead and get your question in before we hear him spit a piece.
Well, just something just similar. What ways do you see the effect of poetry when you're mentoring?
It's funny. When you said that, I worked at a group home one time, and it was the first time they had a male there because it was a house full of young girls, and we had to spend the night for a week. And I had one young lady. I got very close to several of the young ladies, and I still keep in touch with them. And one young lady, I pulled up a clip from Slammadness, and I wanted her to kind of hear it because she had told me her story. And it was basically a poet out of Columbia, Selah. And she was doing the poem, it starts off and she's like, bitches and hoes. And she's kind of like, I wonder if like Coretta was that bitch that got pregnant by Martin. And he just figured out it was cheaper to keep her. And when I let her hear this poem, the young lady was, she was like, this is what men would call her mom. She's like, these are the men that my mom would choose to deal with or whatever. And we talked. And she was 13 at the time, very bright, very beautiful young lady. And she was 13 with her energy, and her spirit was 13, but she was so much older with her experiences. And I had her write, and I took them to a poetry workshop, and she wrote down how she had first smoked weed when she was 11, and how she first had sex when she was like 12, and pretty much how she kind of raised herself or whatever. It takes you to a certain place, it just takes you to a certain place to hear these people tell their experiences. And I'm like, at 13, you did more at 13 than I probably did at 16. Not saying that I had like my life was beautiful. I never had a, care or concern or something like that. But it was like you did more at a young age than I did at an older age. And I have to say this, not to be long-winded, but I have to say this, at the workshop that we do with at Slammadness, a couple of years ago, we had a young guy come in. He was Nigerian, and he was first generation Nigerian, and he was saying how the kids in school tease him because of because of the culture of their culture that they're not familiar with, that they're disconnected from. And he came there and he said, I feel, and the poets, the kids actually get to pick who they want to work with poet-wise, like adult poets. And he said, man, I feel like I got a whole new group of friends. They're just adults. And he's saying this and he's crying. And I think, about half the poets in there start sweating from their eyes. They won't admit that they cried, but they start sweating from their eyes. And in that same workshop, we had a young lady come in, and she was I think it was her and one other little white girl that was in the room. And she came in. She was super shy. And, we always play a little game, an icebreaker, where we get to get up and run around. And by the time she left and worked with the poets and wrote a poem and read it, her dad comes over to me at the end and shakes my hand. He says, I don't know what you did in these 2 hours, but my daughter is so shy she would have never did that. And he said she just came over and asked me if 3 different girls could come and spend the night with her. And he said, now I got to get these parents' phone numbers and get these kids together. He's like, I've never seen this. He said, thank you. That's the reward. That's it.
Yes.
I can die happy now. I can die with a smile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, my brother, yes, we did bring you here to do an interview, yes. But, man, this is a poetry show. Man, we have got to hear you spit.
Man, no problem, man. I definitely, just very quick, I hate people to introduce their pieces, and this along within the poem, but I wrote this piece, and it repeats a lot because I said if you could ask the universe 3 questions, 1, something serious, 2, something frivolous, and 3, something about yourself, what would it be? So this poem is called Random Conversation. I want to have a random conversation with God. Ask him if Judas's sandpaper kisses felt like paper-cut bliss. Why the fuck the Knicks can't win a championship? Does converting my suicidal thoughts to homicidal ones mean I am growing? Why do you pick your good flowers with the bad ones? Why in a room full of people I still feel alone? Why in a room full of poets I used to feel at home, but now I feel like those one-arm hugs or target practice for stab wounds in my back? Matter of fact, on my wrist. If I was made from clay, is that why on some days I feel lower than dirt? If you breathe air into my lungs, why do I stop breathing in the middle of the night? Never been so afraid to die, never been so afraid to live, never been so ready to die, never been so ready to live, and these ain't cries for help. I left childhood tears in childhood. The closest I came is when my 100 problem outweighed my 99. Why did Fred Sanford have so many heart attacks and survive? Why did Red Fox have one and he died? Are you a player, God? Because it seemed like you just met my mother and you took her home way too soon. And if it is to be on earth as it is in heaven, are we to be slaves when we pass by those pearly gates? Why am I more Malcolm than Martin? Are people really schizophrenic, or do they just hear you speak a little clear? And I swear, tell my grandmother to text me. She always knew the right things to say. Because when I was a little boy, she would hold me tight and say, everything's going to be all right. Sometimes I miss your mama too. Tell my son I'm sorry. But according to those court papers and his mom, I am just sorry. Tell her she wins. No more fight left in me. And I thought these words were supposed to heal, but I guess these words are just for those who have found themselves face down in a ditch with booze in their hand, blood on their lips, and on my worst day, I mean my best day, I mean my worst day, I mean my best day, I found a picture of you holding a picture of me in the pocket of my blue jeans, so I still do not know what love means. But since I don't know what love means, you better watch what you say to me. I deal with indirect people indirectly. Ain't no punk here unless you brought it with you. Why does my life read like the Cliff Notes to the book of Job? Naked I came in this world. Naked I stand before you with a bottle of Grey Goose and a Glock in one hand and a Bible in the other. Decisions to make. But if you're all-knowing, God, why would there ever be a need to have a random conversation with you? I just hope that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart will always show the transparency in my pen. Amen.
Yeah. I'm so emotional right now.
Wow.
Because you said something in your piece in a random conversation about your grandmother. And she always knew the right words to say. I lost my grandmother 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Man, my condolences. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's thank you, man. It's and she always knew the right words to say.
You know, one of the things that kind of really helped me out, because I think with me, I had to get like real tough skin at a young age. Like I was the kid that just, everybody's great, let's love everybody, and I had to learn at a very young age to have tough skin. And I think my grandmother was the only one that kind of always saw through that. And what always kind of helped me is I started thinking about all the memories I had, and I started laughing because, you know, you start thinking about all the little silly things. Or I'm a grown man, I'm in college or whatever, and we get cold at night, and my grandmother come put a blanket on me. Like I wasn't big enough to go grab a blanket if I wanted to put a blanket on, and it just lets you know like who she was. So the only thing I tell you, you know, brother, I mean, nothing makes you feel better because, you know, she's not here still, but, you know, grasp hold of those memories, and I'm sure that it puts a smile on your face because she's like, yeah, that's, what did you call her? What did you call her, grandma, big mama, what was it?
I call her grandma.
Yeah, so you'll be like, well, that's, you know, that's what grandma used to do. It, you know, she got that from grandma, so, but that's what I mean by hopefully words can heal other folks, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, because, you know, it's easy. Nothing, man. Nothing. I mean, it's easy to write about it. It's easy to talk about it. But I have not really had a chance to grieve the way I need to grieve because I'm always being strong for everybody else in this process.
True. But I want to say this, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, I have to make sure I do some happiness. But no, what I was going to say, and this is this, you know, man to man. As men, we always want to protect our women, and we want to take the brunt of the load, and that's fine. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But you have to grieve and deal with things on your own terms, and don't let this jump on you. You know, 3 weeks from now, you know, and you hadn't, you know, let it overcome you. But yeah, it's rough because I tell you, when my grandmother passed away, I remember telling my friend, and his grandmother had just passed away, and I didn't know if I wanted to tell him because he was dealing with that, and I heard my voice crack, and I was like, okay, get it together, what's going on or whatever, and he told me later, he said, boy, I know that was how bad that bothered you because I've never seen or heard you like, you know, show any kind of weakness or whatever, and I was just like, dude, I was vulnerable. I hadn't dealt with this before. I dealt with death, but you know, you don't understand. This is the lady right here that, you know what I'm saying, Sunday dinner made cornbread taste like cake. You understand what I'm talking about?
Right.
But, you know.
Yeah.
Man.
I know for me, when I lost my grandmother, it just didn't feel real at first. It was like she lived right around the corner, so it didn't feel real. But I didn't cry at the funeral. It didn't hit me until I smelled a familiar smell of hers, and the waterworks. So definitely, it will happen. And when it does, just all the prayers to you. You'll make it through.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But my brother, that was definitely a phenomenal piece, man. I like the way that you put all of that together in that piece.
Definitely.
It was an amazing piece.
I'm glad. I appreciate it.
Very heartfelt.
I'll say this: when I wrote that piece, I was going through so much, and I think it was a line in there I kind of missed, but I wrote that piece. You know how you're at the bottom, and you're just like, I don't see if this is going to get better. And I clung to my pen, and I wrote that and one other piece, and I was so excited about it because I was like this is, it dealt with my grandmother, it dealt with, being me. I was having, I have sleep apnea. So at the time, I really didn't know what it was. I just know that in the middle of the night, I would, struggle to breathe or whatever, and had some other personal stuff, relationship stuff going on. It's all over the place, and you're just like, hey, I'm all right. I'm all right.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to Epiphany Radio Spotlight. Epiphany Radio, the For Real Entertainment Network. The dial-in number 319-527-6300. Press 1 to get on the mic. I'm your host, Van Meadows, joined by Lady Inkwell and Sexy Sage, and our Epiphany Spotlight poet of the evening, artist, Johnny C. Weaver. My brother, thank you for attending with us and allowing us to spotlight you. But, my brother, can you tell everybody what's happening? What is happening March 23rd and 24th?
Listen, March 23rd and 24th, if you haven't experienced it, you haven't lived. Slammadness is $2,000. That's like 3 tanks of gas right now. It's a 2-day tournament, but the first day is just kind of on that Friday, the 22nd is a meet and greet, and everybody's welcome to that. The 23rd, that morning, we're going to have a kids workshop, and we're going to have a ball. Later on, we're going to go in. We have a poet picnic, and we do some workshops there at the picnic. We play this little game. If you come through, I would advise you not play this with me. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. It's a game called Spades. That gets very cutthroat. And we have a good time. And from there that night, we have 16 poets in one bracket that will try to destroy each other, and they will, the winner of that bracket will get $150. Then the winner of the next bracket with these 16 poets will try to destroy each other and get another $150, and we'll take the top 16 poets from those 2 brackets. And then that Sunday they will battle not only for, as JG the Juggernaut said, not only for the money, but it's about the 10 pounds of gold. So we're going to pick up the wrestling belt tomorrow, so you get bragging rights for a year. You get to hold the belt and say you're Slammadness champion. And we have had, some phenomenal competitors. Our first one, Breeze, I Like This, won the first one. The second one, Moody Black, won. The third one, a poet out of North Carolina, Michael Romans, won. The fourth one, Moody Black, won again. Our first 2-time champion, Bittersweet, won 2 years ago, and last year out of Cincinnati, now residing in Charlotte, North Carolina, Miss Coco Flo came through, and Black Girl Magic was in the building. It was not to be denied. So just to let you know how things go, the year before, Coco got knocked out in the first round, and she said, I just want to come back and not get knocked out in the first round, and she came back and beat everybody both days. So if you're not there, you're not anywhere.
Man, I'm here to let y'all know, as soon as my baby girl birthday is over, that night I am there. Whatever's going on, I'm going to be there.
Slammadness.com. Slammadness.com, definitely. I'll tell you something very funny. Mr. Meadows, I had no idea I was going to speak with you tonight. Your name has finally popped up, I think 3 times on people I may know. And I don't know if I added you or not, but I'm definitely adding you after the night. This was not an accident that we're conversing right now.
Wow. You never know who you know, man. It's a short world, and the spectrum of social media connects all of us together in a whole different way. And I have not heard of you until tonight, and hearing that piece and hearing the work that you're doing, I'm honored to be in your acquaintance right now, because your gift, just from that one poem, brother, you got me over here crying. You don't even know. I'm over here crying. Like, Akil, the host of the show, he inboxed me. He said, "Are we all right?" I said, "Man, this dude got me over here crying, man. First piece, and I'm crying." So definitely bad. Sexy Sag, you got a question or comment? Teresa?
Hello.
Oh, were you muted? You was up, the infamous mute.
It wasn't muted. It was trying to talk. No, I appreciate that, King. That piece was wonderful. I mean, it was so relatable, because we all have had those random conversations. And, I mean, in the midst of some of everything comes out. And I think what happened was just you finally got that exhale. You finally got that breath out that you've been waiting on. And we all been through it. Unfortunately, I wasn't blessed to meet my grandmother, but I'm reminded so much every day because I look so much like her. So I guess that's a blessing in a way.
True. By the way, I like your name. That's a dope name. Like Sexy Sag. That's a dope name.
Oh, thank you. It's a play on it because I'm a Sagittarius. So, but
there it is.
The sexy part came later on. Once you got to know yourself and knowing that word.
Nice, absolutely. Now, tell me, my brother, since we're talking about names, Johnny C. Weaver, is that your stage name?
It is. The way what happened when I first started, I really didn't have a name. So when I shouldn't say it when I first started. Let me back up. I was watching a sports show one day, and they were saying, the commentator said, "Yeah, I believe Clemson, they're going to get my Johnny Weaver Award." And the guy looked at me like, "Johnny Weaver," and I knew exactly what he was talking about. He said, "Johnny Weaver." Like, "Yeah, that's my sleeper pick." Johnny Weaver was a wrestler, and his finishing move was a sleeper. So I was like, you know what? That's gonna be I'm gonna be like the sleeper poet. Like, starting off, I'm not the best, but I'm gonna be the sleeper pick. Like, that's gonna be my my sleeper pick to win. So it was Johnny Weaver, and then it just kind of sounded plain. So I was like, okay, I need to add a middle name. And Carlito's Way is one of my favorite movies. So I said, that's what it'll be. It'll be Johnny C. Weaver. And just kind of went from there, and it stuck. And that's what it's been ever since.
Man, I love that. Lady Inkwell.
As Van mentioned, social media links all of us together.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. As Van said, social media does link all of us together. So how do you use your social media platform to further your artistry?
I do apologize. I can't really understand what you're saying. I call like bits and pieces. Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah, I can. Van mentioned that social media kind of bands all of us together. So how do you use your social media platform to further your artistry?
Okay. Well, I think the biggest thing with like social media and technology making the world a lot smaller, of course, one of the things that we like to do is I'm real big on working with people. I like to collaborate with people. So we definitely put everything that we do. We try to do an event once a month. We're not always as successful as we would like to be, just, because life happens, and I'm sure where you guys are, you have issues with venues and things like that. But definitely promoting our shows, promoting our brand, because I never wanted to just, to me, this is a movement. And there's a brother that used to come and speak by the name of Haru. And one of the things he used to say, he said, you know, you guys aren't just poets, you're griots. You're the news reporters of your day. So being able to connect with people through social media and then say, hey, what can we do? You know, we may have some of the similar ideas, and we've been able to kind of capitalize on those. It's a brother out of Charlotte, North Carolina, by way of the Bronx, and because of social media and some things that I put out there and some of the stuff that I read from him, you know, we started wanting to go into prisons. And I have two friends right now, childhood friends, who are doing life in prison. And these are people that, you know, made some mistakes, but these are still, you know, these aren't incorrigible people. And when they get out of, when a lot of these individuals get out of jail, of course, there's no jobs available for them. You know, you learn a trade while you're there. So one of the things that I did, and again, this was all through social media, I was able to get a couple of people that I knew to come and speak with my kids at the alternative school, and they were always having trouble finding jobs or keeping jobs. And I said, we could go in and do a program to show them how to write and show them how to speak and do, you know, be motivational speakers. These are the perfect individuals. It's easy to take a group of people in orange jumpsuits and say, hey, look, if you don't straighten up, this is where you're going to be. But show the aftermath of that and say, hey, this is where I was. That was chapter 1, 2, and 3 of my life. But chapter 10, 11, and 12, look at where I'm at now. And, you know, a couple of the individuals are, two of them are like entrepreneurs. They own very successful businesses now, and both of them did 7 years. So to be able to use social media to connect with people and say, hey, let's collaborate and do some different things to market our brand, to market, you know, our shows. You know, my girlfriend sells everything from pocketbooks to incense. I feel like I'm in a Jamaican shop sometime. So it's just being able to market your brand, just to constantly be able to hit people over the head. And I tell people, if you don't like me inbox you about what we got going on, man, unfriend me, because I'm gonna keep inboxing you. And I want the lady over here that has a totally different view on the world than the lady over here and the gentleman over here. So when we do something now, we have three different people with three different mind states to be able to say, hey, let's get together and make this the best, whatever it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. My brother, I got tissue.
Yes,
I got
sir.
some tissue now. So if you don't mind, will you go ahead and drop another piece on us? But before you do that, man, hey, man, did you ask the question? Did I hear that second question of that piece? When will the Knicks ever win a championship?
Yeah. Because listen, I'm a Georgetown guy, so you know I had to rock with Pat when he was with the Knicks, and I'm like, man, come on, brother, like man, I follow you guys, man. Why the Knicks can't win a championship? Come on. Right.
Hey, man. You know, a lot of those teams that haven't won championships, that had those dynamite stars, those squads, there was one guy that killed a lot of their dreams, brother. One guy killed a lot of their dreams, man.
Charles Barkley, Mailman, you know, all of them. Yeah. I believe I fight. I believe I like jumping. Like, yeah, I believe I was patting him. I'd be like, hey, dog, for real? Like, you couldn't play baseball another year. Like, just play baseball really? One more year. You know, I'd have got one. And then I could have said, I wonder if Mike was here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you what, Van. I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm gonna let you choose.
Okay.
Serious peace, or peace that I think you will 1,000 identify with, just from the conversation that we had. You identify with both of them, but serious peace or not so serious peace that kind of identifies with you.
All right, let's go with the not so serious peace.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna just put it out there. Here he goes. I remember the first time I fell asleep and I woke up and you were standing over me. and I ask you, what are you doing? And she said, Daddy, you always call me your angel, and this is what angels do. They watch over people that they love. And I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember the time we were in the grocery store and she stuffed Tootsie Rolls in my pocket. And she said, Daddy, the Tootsie Rolls have a lot of Chestertol. Chestertol, baby. What's Chestertol? Because Mommy said if you get too much Chestertol around your heart, you could die. Oh, you mean cholesterol? And I don't want you to die. I want you to live a long time. I want you to live to be like 30 years old or something. But to someone 5, 30 is a long time. And I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember the time that her teacher brought all the little girls in the classroom Barbie dolls, and she raised her hand and said, oh, my daddy won't let me play with these because he said if I'm ever going to grow up to be a queen, I got to play with little princesses that look like me, and her mom got mad. But her mom was always mad because this little girl never wanted to play dress up or go to the mall. She just wanted to sit on my lap and watch football, and that's why it seemed strange. And I told her it was time for me to whoever I was cheering for, that was her team. That's why it seemed strange that when I told her it was time for me to leave, it was her brother that cried. She just looked up at me with those big brown eyes and said, "Who gonna look over you now?" So when I saw her at her brother's football game, she must have asked her mom if she could speak with me, because I saw this little beautiful face jump from the back seat to the front seat, and the door flew wide open, and the next words I heard was more beautiful than Gabriel blowing his horn. It was more beautiful than Lena Horne singing a song. It's like the words came out of her mouth letter by letter, D-A-double-T-Y, Daddy. And I walked over, and she told me how some little boy in her class liked her, but she didn't like him back. She told me that Triple H is still her favorite wrestler. She told me that every time she watched the Boston Celtics play, she calls Ray Allen Jesus Shuttlesworth because she knows he got game. It's my favorite movie, and I swear in that short time I lived a lifetime. But I kissed her on the forehead and told her it was time for me to go. And as I walked away, she said, Daddy, you know I'm still looking over you, right? See, she may not be my biological daughter, but she's my daughter. And regardless of what happens between me and her mother, always and forever be my angel.
Oh.
Man, I should have went with the other piece. Oh my God, man! Listen. My daughter's got to be the wisest 7-year-old that I know. When she watched me and her mother go through our divorce, and what you say in that piece is so true. I asked her to bring me something, and she brought it, and I said, "Thank you, my princess." She said, "You're welcome, my king." She was 6.
That comes from good parents and knowing who she is, man. Like, from knowing who she is. And I tell you, man, I'm real big on, and I won't get too deep into it, but I'm real big on, a lot of times we get, well, I'll stay here. Really, the biggest thing is that we've never, as a culture, believed in. I don't know how you guys were, but I never had a step anything or a half anything. You were family, period.
Right.
And that's what it was. And when I hear people say, "Oh yeah, that's my stepson or stepdaughter," and I'm like, let somebody mess with them. That ass whipping you give them ain't gonna be a step ass whipping.
Right.
That's gonna be a genuine, old school, biological. They ain't gonna be like, well, they ain't really beating me because that's the stepdad. No, dog. Like, no, that ain't about to happen. And I think a lot of times I know more men that do that than the ones that don't. And I think it's not an accident that those are the ones that's not focused on. When I go to the schools and things like that, I see a million fathers out here with their little princesses or their little kings or whatever, and the little princes, whatever, and you see that. So, but that piece, that meant a lot to me. It was the young lady now that I wrote that piece about is she graduates from college, I want to say this year, and that was it wasn't a divorce, but that was kind of hard because I watched her grow from being 4 to 8 or whatever, and I'm like,
right, man, that's a phenomenal piece, man.
I appreciate
Lady
it.
Inkwell, what you got for that piece? Lady Inkwell, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Just trying to find
What you?
really good one. That's home.
Okay.
It's a really wonderful poem.
'Sexy Sage.
Yes, love.
How you feel about that piece?
I mean, from the beginning, it has you. I mean, and I want to commend you for that because we need more things like that, especially in this day. But for one, too, I had a dad, and I was his only biological child. But my sisters and brothers was raised by him, and to take on that responsibility and to take it heartily is just something special. But especially when you woke up and she looked over you and you was like, "Oh, I'm your angel." I mean, that's something that little girls keep forever. When they have a king in their life, it stays for a long time. It kind of molds them. So when I speak to my princesses and they see a queen speaking to them, that's because I had a king before. And so I just commend you for that.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Absolutely. Wow. Just wow, man. That piece was amazing. I'm actually
It was.
I wrote a piece for my daughter. It's called "When You Turn 7," that I'm gonna have framed for her. But each year, I write a new piece for her as her age goes up. And what I'm going to do for her is I'm gonna put it in a book and I'm gonna publish it, and I'm just gonna hand it to her, and because she knows a lot right now, but when she's older, she'll be able to understand. I mean, she has no problem telling you that she's a daddy's girl. I'm my daddy's girl. Daddy is my daddy. No problem. And that dynamic of that relationship that you portray in that piece is phenomenal. And, it upsets me that there are men out here who have these children and won't be a part of their lives. I told my ex-wife, my first son's mother, there isn't anything that you're going to be able to do that's going to keep me from my children. Period.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always kind of, I guess, we have to start thinking like beyond just right now. And a lot of kids that I talk to or that have kids or whatever, and I say your kids need to know, males and females, they need to know if you're away from them, you don't know what's going on. You understand? You don't know how they're being treated or whatever. So your kids need to always say, like, to give you an example, my son is 17. I want to leave Spartanburg. I have nothing else here to tie me here. My grandparents are gone. I just have my son, and I wouldn't even move 30 minutes up the road because of him, because I want him to always know and his mom is remarried, and me and her husband are fine. You know, it doesn't have to be a issue or whatever. But I want him to always know with whatever situation. I think this is important. Like your daughter needs to know, my daddy will come here and handle some business. He about 15, 20 minutes away. If I have to call him, understand what this is. And I've always told my son, don't believe anything anybody tells you. If they say, oh, well, if you tell your dad, he's not going to believe you, I say, that's a lie. You know, well, he's going to blame you. No, I'm not. We're going to kill you. And I'm like, no, son. Like, no, they're not. They're saying that if anybody does something to you, they're saying that to scare you. You pick the phone up, you get to me however you need to get to me and tell me, and we will make sure that you are safe. So I think that's the biggest thing that kids need to understand, and that, think about it, if you know it's a consequence to harming someone, you're not going to do it. People don't harm kids when adults are around that'll do something to them. They don't do that then. Right. So that's just a big deal to me. I'm going to get off my soapbox, but that's just a big deal to me, like to understand that. And to have the same level of energy with everybody. I'll say this very quickly. You can have a person that's like, I won't let them spend the night here, and I won't let my this person be around them or whatever. And then you'll have the church fan come over with a group of people you've never seen, come to the little so-called inner city, and you'll let all the kids go on there and go on. You know, we have to question. We have to question and use logic with everybody. So I'm done. But that's just one of those things I think as adults, we need to always have our kids like, look, if anybody does anything to you, you let P know. You let me or your father, your uncle, somebody know, so we can rectify the situation.
Absolutely. You're so right, man. You're so right. I mean, I'm an hour from my kids. They live in Fort Mill, and let somebody do something to one of my kids, that hour's going to be reduced in like 20, 30 minutes real easy. Really.
And that's real. And I'm not coming to talk, bro. I'm not coming to talk.
Nah, no, sir. Ain't gonna be no conversation. You know, it's funny you talk about the dynamics. My son will be 23. He lives in Baltimore, Maryland, and my other son, who's not biologically mine, he's 12, but I'm his daddy because I've been his daddy since he was 0. You follow what I'm saying?
There it is.
I've been his daddy since he was 0. And, you know, when Mom got this new boyfriend, I questioned him very thoroughly. You're my son. What's going on? What's happening? He said, Dad, he's a good dude. He's okay. You know, he doesn't put his hands on us. He doesn't yell at us. I said, okay, good. Because the moment that he does that, he's got an issue with me. And then his mom's got an issue with me. Because you don't need a stepfather. You don't need another father. I'm right here. And I am active
and I'll tell you,
in their lives.
And it has to be that dialogue. Like, I'll give you, like, I agree with you 100%. Like, with me, with my son's mom, we had a conflict because I'm like, if you're getting married and moving on, that's beautiful. I'm happy for you. I don't want you to be by yourself. I'm happy for you.
Right.
But if you're getting married, don't you think you should tell this brother, hey, you know, hey, this is such and such, Dad, and this is such and such. And I was like, I shouldn't have had to initiate that. That's just respect because he's going to be around my son. And I think the other part of that is, you know, a lot of times when we come to this earth, we're whole. When you're born and you come to this earth, you're whole. Life breaks you apart. And what a lot of people learn to do is to live broken. It's like sitting in a chair that's broke, but it's not on the floor. You just lean your weight toward the front part, and you learn to sit in the chair so it won't break. I say that to say that we had a conflict one time where my son was about 7 years old. He was playing with his cousin. He was with me. And our cousin came in and said he has 2 dads. I said, come here, son. I said, who's your dad? He's like, you are. I said, what are you talking about, 2 dads? He was like, well, my mom told me I have to call him Dad or whatever. So I automatically called the house. You know, I think I spoke with him first, and I said, listen, if I was out of the picture, wouldn't have a problem with this. My son has a father. You can be anything in the world. You will never be Dad. He's not going to call you that. And he explained it and said, well, let me tell you what happened. He got out of the shower one day and had to ask for something in the room or whatever, and he didn't know what to call me. He said, I didn't say it. His mom was like, well, you can call him, Dad or whatever. And when he left, he said, I had a conversation with her, and it's like, we need to make sure that he understands what this is. Like, he has a father who's in his life. So he and I talked that through like two grown men. Right. And when she came back, she was like, well, she wanted to be on 10. And I was like, well, we've already talked about it, so we're good. And I think that's what it has to be. He and I have to have a good relationship. And even now when I grab my son or whatever, one of his son or daughter, they see me coming and they're like, Ty, your dad's here. And I play little games with them while I'm waiting on him and stuff. And we get along. We don't go and have a drink together, but we get along.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not about that life. Yeah. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Johnny C. Weaver, our guest spotlight feature, and such a wonderful time that we're having, man. Do you believe that the first hour is already gone?
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow!
The first hour is already
much,
gone.
I'm gonna start talking.
Man, listen, man, this is your show, man. You talk about whatever you want to talk about, man. Let me tell you. But ladies and gentlemen, start getting your pieces ready. We're going to get ready for the rapid fire round. And the rapid fire round, you just come, you say you're locked and loaded, spit your piece, and we move on. We got a few callers out there, so we might be able to get to a couple. Might be able to get to do more than one piece. Get them pieces ready. What we're going to do at this moment, we're going to play a little short music break, and then we're going to come back and start this locked and loaded round. We'll have you, Johnny, start off the locked and loaded round with another one of your pieces, because since you are the guest, it's only fitting that you start us off. Is that all right?
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. No doubt.
All right, enjoy this tune, ladies and gentlemen. Short music break, and we'll be right back.
Yeah,
right, and we're back. Epiphany Radio Spotlight with our guest spotlight artist, Johnny C. Weaver, the poet of the evening. This is Epiphany Radio, the For Real Entertainment Network. Shout out to our illustrious CEO, For Real the Poet, who gives us this wonderful platform to be able to do these types of shows. The dial-in number, 319-527-6300. Press 1 so that we can hear you on the mic. Lady Inkwell.
All right, now it's Lady Inkwell's Book of the Week. And this Book of the Week is our very own Selma Webb, a.k.a. Sexy Sag, with her Web Mind of a Poetic Heart, The Weave of Dreams book. It's definitely a book for any and everybody because it intertwines you in poetic fantasies, life challenges, love, pulls and pushes, and steaming erotica. And some of the reviews for the book has been, this book was very awesome. I felt every moment of all the inspirational and emotions of this author's poetic heart, breathtaking, and it really grabs your attention to see the inner and outer of life's being. I recommend everyone to purchase this book. And you can catch this book on Amazon.
Woo-woo!
Oh.
Congratulations, Queen. Congratulations. I can't wait to get my copy. Of course, I'm going to need mine autographed. You know, I'm kind of spoiled like that. I need an autographed copy. You know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Of course.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for that locked and loaded speed round. Are y'all ready? Is everybody ready? Don't everybody say yes at once. It's okay. It's okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to open your mic, locked and loaded, and go ahead and run through it. But first up on the mic is our own spotlight artist, Johnny C. Weaver. Are you locked and loaded, my brother?
Locked and loaded. Come. Let us talk like men. Let us talk like men to our brothers until they realize that our skin makes us kin. Let us talk like men. Let us talk like men to our women. Those who have been brainwashed with European thoughts and want us to act like our white male counterparts. See, let us talk like men to our little girls who have become consumed with titles like baby mama, girlfriend, wife, just even wife, because I would rather for someone I love to be my girlfriend and be happy than to be my wife and be miserable. Let us talk like men to our little boys. See, I think I was about 8 years old when I fell off of my grandmother's porch. My leg still bears the scar. Blood was everywhere. And my uncle told me, boy, you better not cry. You better suck it up. You better be a man. So I equated being a man with not crying. So when that woman told me she wanted to leave, it was my heart that told my mind to tell my mouth to say that two people in love can conquer anything. It was my heart that told my mind to tell my mouth to say, I don't want to wake up tomorrow and you not be here. But since I never became one with my emotions, it came out like, bitch, you better sit your black ass down. Ain't nobody going to want you but me. See, let us talk like men to those who think they have graduated out of the age of racism, because in 2019, you will get your nigga reality wake-up call. But where's your nigga license? But where's your nigga registration? See, in the eyes of your oppressor, you never quit being a nigga. See, if you rich, you a rich nigga. If you poor, you a poor nigga. Go to school, get educated, and they'll call you an educated nigga. But in the eyes of your oppressor, you never quit being a nigga. So from that day forth, I decided that each one must teach one. And if I couldn't find one, I was going to talk to the little ones. I decided to ask my oppressor for water, and he gave it to me. See, I asked my oppressor for food, and he gave it to me. I asked my oppressor for somewhere to stay, and he gave it to me. But when I asked my oppressor for my freedom, he said, nah, nigga, your black ass is asking for too much. So I decided I was going to walk like a man, that I was going to talk like a man, that I was going to be a better man to my brothers, that I was going to be a better man to my sisters, that I was going to be a better man to my little boys, that I was going to be a better man to my little girls. And for anyone that don't understand this poem, come and we can talk like men.
When this is Mr. Automatic Charismatic, locked and loaded. Political slaves, when we go to the poll, behold what the goal is. Did our ancestors go to the poll to vote for anybody? Do we ever hold them accountable? Are we in this place of being political slaves? Do we just vote because they say that black people died to vote? Or do we go ahead and protect our vote? We need to go ahead and make sure that if you are not a part of what needs to happen for black people, then you cannot get the black vote. No more of this political slavery. This is the invasion of a new agenda. You don't want to have anything to do with us, but you want our vote. I'd be damned if black people went to the polls and died just to vote for a slave master. Nah, this is a new chapter to recapture so you know what the goal is after. Understand the commitment, the equipment, the shipment, the learn and everything in return. We are no political slaves. I have a question to ask you. Where were you when Eric Gardner was being choked out? Where were you when Sandra Bland was being harassed? Where were you when Tamir Rice was shot? Where were you when Trayvon Martin did not get any type of justice? Where were you when every black person not getting no type of justice? Remember Baltimore. Where were you? Remember California. Where were you? You see, if you ain't part of this black agenda, if you're not a part of black justice, you cannot get our vote. Understand that the political slavery will not happen, but can you imagine, like way back when, voting for a new slave master to take over the land? Nah, we're not equipped for that environment. You can go ahead and send that to retirement. Understand that we're not political slaves. Where were you when black people are being mauled? See, I don't understand. These people want to go ahead and want to claim and say, hey, go ahead and vote for me as a president. Yes, Democrat or Republican, please, I freeze. I want to recapture. We need reparations. I'm like the dedication of another master education. Please. Political slaves, no, we're not going to have the involvement. You need to go ahead and check yourself. You want our vote? What are you going to do for us? Black people been wanting in the place of justice. Black people wanting to be in the place of equality when it comes to this so-called justice system. But you rob us of justice. You have killed Philando Castile. You robbed us of all kinds of justice. I don't understand. You want the black vote. You cannot have the black vote. Remember about what happened to Oscar. Please, in California, he was shot down. Yes. Remember what happened to so many. So many have died. Like, remember what happened in Louisiana. Please. You want the black vote. You want us to be political slaves. Nah. Yeah. We went across that Selma Bridge. Nah, we should never forget, because what is appropriate of being what is associate. Please, we're not going to be your political slaves. You either go ahead and have something that's for us if you want the vote, but nah. It's like this. If we are not your direction, if we're not your selection, then I'll just drop this mic like I just dropped the election. Mr. Automatic Charismatic the Lyrical Engine. 10 years in, I'm all in. Rapper in drive.
Sexy Sag, you locked and loaded?
I sit back and reminisce my road in life, and I see no reason why I compromise, trading part of me to make others happy when the part of me that I sacrificed so lovingly was gradually used unsatisfactory. Like a leech, they wanted it all out of me. If it took physically draining me, compromised, I once committed, because I truly thought it was all the part of the way you did it. That if it's love, true love, then giving a little more isn't losing, it's winning. Until life shows you the true game of roulette, or what you bet you just might not get, betting everything in you. Love really consumes you. Compromise. It's not something to totally defy, but compromise can differ between you and I. I no longer wish to compromise in this love quest, for I worked too long for this vessel to compromise with any fellow. I dare not seek a gent that does not hold the same idea reflection. I want him content, unbudging will. I want to counter that not only physically, but mentally, but to see the worth in me, to be willing to work with me, together an equal team see. I want him to love him for him, no build a man project, no retraining him, no secrets, no lies, no compromise. I want to intertwine like a vine, two separate entities, but simultaneously mutual, agree to merge and coexist like two lovers' first kiss. I want the unknowingly. I want to have the uncompromising sex. All goals that we both bring it. I want it like my poetry, mesmerizing and a bit sultry. But I won't do is compromise any part of me. You want me, you take me wholly. But I'm no longer compromising my soul, so please don't ask me. Being content means not compromising.
Lady Inkwell, are you locked and loaded? Lady Inkwell, are you muted? All right. We'll get her after I'm locked and loaded, called Rhythm and Bars. I slipped in the ripple of her tide. The flow of her magnificence was an oozing ride. The ebb of her flow, channeled just enough so I know. She was filling my language linguistics, my sensual statistics. It started as a blank portrait. Then she added her melanin and began to create a love orgy of color hues, using rhythm and blues. I mean, she was carrying around a mental dictionary because she wanted to be informed of my metaphor logic and tutor regularly. Tutor her soul in romance, but Vince walked into his theme song, No Chance. But I kept hearing Biggie, Biggie, give me one more chance, give me one more chance. Oh, sorry, the hip-hop vibes got into me. Check out my melody. Just when she thought she figured me out, I was gone in 60 seconds, and her name was Shelby, and she liked to show out. Class is in session, and I'm giving it to you raw. Your chill has to thaw. Now back to this melanated queen. Tell me, where have you been? In peace. Lady Inkwell, are you locked and loaded?
Yeah. I was stuck on mute.
Uh-oh. That's all right.
Good night. Locked and loaded. This poem is called Lesson Learned. Loyalty is a thing of the past. People so microwavable nowadays with only a few made from scratch. You got to be your own keeper because nobody has your back. Divorce is happening every day. It seems like nobody is built to last. Fell in love for the first time at 20 and got rocky at 23. Couldn't focus because I lost focus on what made me happy. I wanted a family, something not so dysfunctional. It ended in tears. Them solo nights got emotional. I went back not once but twice. Different wounds, but stabbed in the back with the same knife. Chalked it up to the notion of that's life. Forever a girlfriend, a.k.a. a ringless wife. The third time was the charm, a fire for the desire with no alarm, just to say I was the trophy and the woman on his arm. Things got hectic. I was left neglected and disrespected. Had to face the mirror when it said it would only work on his terms. I guess you can say, lesson learned. Peace.
A64, are you locked and loaded?
Yes.
All right, the mic is yours.
Are you making peace with God or trying to avoid hell after death? Bedsides have become casket confessions. Hope and fear gave God the same followers. So when 82-year-old Carolyn Bryan said she lied on Emmett Till, nothing in me accepted her apology. Why are you apologetic now? Is it because you took the place of God and gave Emmett the same painful death as Jesus? Privilege is so hard to understand when you're always on the back end. The last thing parents want to do is bury their own children. So it's hard for me to believe that you finally felt remorse for Mamie Till when you lost your son. Well, how did he die? Was he abducted from his home, not aware that he had done anything wrong? Was he forced to strip naked and leave this world the same way he came in? Did the cross resemble your son's body being barbed wide to the fan of a cotton gin? Did his open casket funeral look like the end results of white privilege? Did an all-white jury issue a verdict of not guilty and stated that the prosecution failed to identify the body? Was his body looked at as just another black nobody? Race loves to claim black bodies no matter what the age, but he was 14, a boy, not yet a man. Your son died as an adult. What if that was your son? And Mamie Till would have lied on him. Do you think the same thing would have happened? Could you live with being a victim of generational genocide, devote your whole life to civil rights, live through the fact that the people who killed your son got off, miss his first prom, miss his walk across the stage with his diploma held high, just missing him being alive, never getting the chance to raise your son, and watch your son raise his son? Could you live with the family you could have had being taken away from you? Could you die knowing that no justice was ever brought to you? So I ask you when you pray, does your name resonate in God's head as if you were Paul? Back then, how could you claim to be Christian but yet 6 feet under one of God's children? Your last breath won't be when you die. It'll be when your book releases in 2036, when white people realize what us black folks knew all along, that you, Miss Carolyn Bryant, was a liar that should have been crucified in Emmett's blood, no resurrection, because nobody, and I do mean nobody, is going to miss you.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Man, what a rapid fire round. Johnny C. Weaver, what did you think about that round, my brother?
Hey, man, we're going to probably get in trouble because there's too many conscious minds in the same place. So, you know, we got to be careful. The Fed's watching somewhere.
Let them watch, man. Let them watch, man. We're going to speak our minds, man. We definitely going to speak our minds. There's enough racial injustices going on that we all can get a piece. Now we just got to get everybody else to wake up and get on the same page.
True that.
because we had a show last week. The CEO, Phil the Poet, his show comes on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And it was a revolutionary show. And one of the things that I spoke on was that how are we going to get upset at police officers killing us, but we're not going to get upset at us killing us. We ready to march.
No.
We ready to march when we are slain by someone wearing a uniform. But we're not ready to march when my brother is killed for his sneakers.
I think I definitely feel that. I think even more so, like it's not just police officers. It's just white society in general feel like they can take their life with no recourse, no consequence, no anything.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
I think what has to happen, like at some point, like I remember teaching a class one time, and the curriculum said it's okay to be mad, because if you don't get mad, sometimes things never change. And I'm like, we don't care about anything. Like we will make an excuse to do anything. Like, I gotta watch the NFL. I love my Steelers. I love my Cowboys. They basically told you what they thought about you. Like it's one I don't buy into the concept of, I'd rather know how a person feel about me up front than to hide it or whatever. No, I know how you feel. I don't want you to ever feel comfortable saying it, because it's a consequence. So it's like, man can say he doesn't like me in private in his living room, but if he says it out loud, then it has to be a consequence. So the way the NFL and these, like we know we stay in a racist world, and we stay in the most racist country in the world. So we already understand that. But when you just boldly feel like you can say and do anything you want to do with no consequence, like on Belly, the guy said, where are you safe from death? Like, see the lies they told you. So if you're not willing to give your life for like your like we talked about for the kids and stand up for them, like the comment on what you're saying, you'll have somebody ride up on your block and say, man, I'm gonna kill this dude. I don't care if it's 30 of them. I'm gonna go out like a soldier. Police come up on your block and yes sir, Mr. Police Officer, whatever you say, sir. Let them, the Koreans beating the lady down in the beauty parlor, things like this. Like, when did we get to the point where we don't have any more fight about us? When we say, well, we at the time we rather have freedom than breath. If it meant to stop breathing to get free, we do that. Now it's just like, well, do whatever you want. We're still gonna do it. But I digress. I'm sorry. I get on my soapbox every once in a while. I digress.
Nah, it's okay, brother. It's okay. It's okay. It is all right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into Epiphany Radio, the For Real Entertainment Network, and tonight's show is Epiphany Radio Spotlight. And that voice that you just heard, that conscious mind, that conscious tone on his soapbox, which is okay because I don't mind one bit, is our feature, Johnny C. Weaver. And the brother is a dynamic poet, and what he's doing in the community, the work is impeccable. He's a mentor, slam coach, goes out to the prisons. Man, I could give you the bio over and over again, but you just got to tune in and listen to the brother. We have one more entrance who came just a few moments. He is also an Epiphany poet, Epiphany host. He is my brother, J-Rob, the wise son. J-Rob, are you locked and loaded, my brother?
Yes, I am, Van. How are you, brother?
I'm good, my brother.
How are you this evening? Please give me a second to put my headset on, if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine, brother.
Excellent. Good evening once again, brother. How's everything?
Everything is wonderful, man. Say hello to our feature this evening, Mr. Johnny C. Weaver.
Johnny, very good evening to you, good brother. How are you?
Man, I woke up. I'm good, man. Peace, family.
Amen. Amen and amen. I'm just tuning into the show because I'm just getting home. And please bring me up to speed. What was the topic for this evening? Because I caught the tail end of what you were saying with respect to the fact that we will march and we will fight and protest when someone of our complexion is hurt by a police officer, but we don't put the same amount of effort into doing that when we're doing it to each other.
Oh, so you caught me on my soapbox. See how he's rubbing off?
But I tell you, it's contagious.
But absolutely. But my brother, there is no theme or no topic of the evening. He is the guest poet of the evening. So, man, whatever you choose to spit, go ahead and spit. But before you do that, we got Sexy Sage and Lady Inkwell as well. You know.
Very good evening, ladies.
How you doing, G?
How are you both?
I'm great.
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. Well, before I even go into a piece, Van, I got to tell you two things. One, I got into this conversation or similar conversation when I was at work because I work in a homeless shelter and I deal with a lot of men who are back and forth for various reasons. But in talking to some of the young brothers who have committed crimes while on parole or so on, when they speak a particular way, my question to all the brothers who were in the middle of the conversation said, well, how many of your victims never looked like you? And the room was dead silent.
Wow.
I said, I'm not judging or nothing, but just for the sake of conversation, you tell me all the stuff about how you dislike what the man has done to you, how white folks treat you, so on and so forth, and I get it. Police officers, not all of them are great. But how many of your victims, the ones you have robbed, stolen, the ones you've beaten up, the ones you jumped, how many of them did not look like you? And in all that, only one guy stood up and said, I think one of the people that I got involved with didn't look like me. Everybody else had my skin tone. And I said, well,
can I comment on that?
If you don't mind, sure.
Well, I know Van said something earlier, and like I said, I didn't want to get too deep into it. I feel like maybe those are some conversations, we can have, mano a mano. But I definitely see what you're saying. But I think this is my opinion. We can't get caught up on. To me, there's no such thing as black on black crime or whatever. If there's no different than black on black, white on white, Asian on Asian. When you compartmentalize and put people in a certain place, you start saying, well, how many people did they rob or do something to that didn't look like them? One, when you have a group of or a race of people controlling the resources and environment, it's just like putting a group of people in a room and saying, hey, we got 15 people in here, but we only got enough to feed 3, where they're going to fight, do whatever it is to be able to eat, to be able to survive. So when you see that, it's like, oh, well, that's black on black crime. Who set those things into motion? So it's like you understand, you do that and say, oh, well, look at these people doing what they're doing to each other, but who created that environment? Now, when I say, okay, but in the next room over here, as long as you're fighting each other or whatever, some of you will go hungry tonight and some of you will eat. But if you go in this other room over here and if you even look or tempt, like you're going to touch these people's food that have surplus of everything, all right, these are going to be your consequences. So you're taught as a kid that like almost to be a white person walking in our neighborhood is the safest person ever because we know what the consequences will be if we do something to them, more so in this day and age than any other time. So when you hear, like from being on the other side of that coin, when you hear, oh, wow, we do this to each other, well, they do this to each other. They commit these crimes to each other also, but we're the ones that just always pushed at the forefront and say, well, look what you're doing, look what you're doing. So I definitely understand both y'all brothers' point of view, but just to understand who controls that environment, those people that they're committing those crimes, I wonder how many white folks or people that don't look like them they've been around or that they feel comfortable being with, or that they're like, okay, we're going to go do this to them. You're looking off the muscle. You're looking at, 80 years for doing a crime that probably is worth 3 years if you do something to them. So it's a mind state in which you train people to do.
Nice.
I agree.
Nice.
But my point in the conversation was to the brothers that was in that conversation. The brothers that I was speaking with were playing the blame game, and it was more about what folks are doing to them, and therefore we don't have any recourse but to do this. And my thing was always have options. This isn't your first option. And even if it is your first option, it's not your first and last option. But you talk about oppression. Oppression is a taught behavior. If I teach you a particular thing and you accept that theory and you adopt that theory, then rather than change aspects of what that is, then to some degree, I'm only looking back at the person who committed whatever that may happen to be. And I know we can go back and forth with the debate, but my thing to them was, I need you to look at this in a different light, because we hurt each other more than anybody else does. And while there is institutionalized racism, you could read the book called The Color of Law. It's just a forgotten history of how the U.S. government segregated America, and books like that, and see exactly how people systematically have done stuff to us. But we do a lot of stuff to ourselves. And I asked the brothers, I said, and please excuse the vulgarity of what I'm going to say, I said, why is it that y'all enjoy calling each other nigga, but as soon as a white guy call y'all nigga, y'all got a problem with it? But you don't have a problem with the dude who said it to you before.
See, I tell you something. Like I definitely want us to exchange numbers or whatever, exchange philosophies or whatever, because I think conversations like this keeps us on our toes. You know, and whether we agree or disagree, I think overall we know that it's a problem, a bigger issue. But my problem is that they don't get mad anymore when this. You had Jennifer Lopez, and I'll kind of say it the way I think it. Jennifer Lopez say the N-word on one of her records, and she said, "Oh, well, Ja Rule wrote it." And I'm like, so is it cool for me to walk around and say spit? Oh man, I'd be destroyed. Can I say something? Right. Can I say, and I say this for the emphasis or whatever. I can't say, if I say faggot, I'm gonna be killed by, not killed, but attacked by this movement. But I'm like, we can say the N-word and feel fine. So I wish you'd be more upset. I used to use that argument, but now it's like, you don't care what they say. You don't care what they call you. And I think that's a big issue. But I definitely, I just have a different point of view on the whole, what we do to each other. And I think we have to go to the root of the problem. But like I said, that's a conversation I would love for me, you, and Van. And one of the things I used to do is like I said, we used to do this with poetry and have some conversations. But I definitely would love for us three to break some bread and exchange some ideas and philosophies and all that. But because I don't want to monopolize the show. But I just wanted to say that part and just say I see it a little different.
Absolutely. Hey man, we're going to do more. Brother, we're going to do more than that. I have a show on Fridays called Let's Talk About It. And I'm going to do 1 month, I'm going to do conscious and relationships. And one of the shows that I'm putting together is a panel of men to have these type of conversations. And what we'll do is allow the call. That's crazy because I wanted to do something similar. But go ahead. That's crazy. Yeah. It's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be dope. I already got the brothers picked out. J-Rob happens to be one of the brothers. Another poet, Aziz Fresh Start Robinson. He's another. For real, the poet's going to be another. Certainly myself, and I'd like to include you in on that as well, because what it's going to do is going to open up a dialogue that we so desperately need to have as men, to show people that men can still have dialogue and different perspectives and hug it out at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
no problem. Yeah, 100%.
Ladies, I'm not leaving y'all out. I'm not leaving y'all out.
I was so going to say you leaving us out.
I'm not leaving y'all out. Cause see, what's going to happen on that show, ladies? What's going to happen on that show is you all will be the ones who will be calling in, asking us the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but before J-Rob start, I get what he's saying too. Like, we need to take ownership on that part. And I also get what Johnny's saying, too, because leaving Chicago and being in a different environment, it allows you to see different things. And like I said,
Right.
just real quick, 400 students go into this high school, and 400 come out senior year, every last one of them, versus Chicago, where we have 100, maybe 150 out of that 400. And I come back always back and forth and talk to the kids like, look, but at the same time, it is a bigger situation because the funding's different, the teaching's different, the support is different. So it's almost like the same way. Like we want our men to take ownership. No, you couldn't did that, but you did it, so let's correct it. But it's also they are challenged with a lot of other things, like Mr. Johnny said. So, but I do commend you, King, for being able to talk that out and be respectful towards each other because it doesn't happen a lot. But it is a very difficult, deep conversation to have.
Absolutely. J-Rob, I'm sorry.
Van Meadows.
I'm sorry, lady. Before you go, Lady Inkwell. Lady Inkwell, I told you I wasn't going to leave you out.
Hello?
Lady Inkwell, are you muted?
I can hear you.
Say
that again?
I was saying I wasn't going to leave you out. Did you want to add something there?
No, as Selma said, it's beautiful to see men have conversations like you guys just had, and I look forward to it. Keep it up.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hey, Johnny, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what kind of interview you was expecting, but I, for one, am loving the show. I'm loving what the energy is, what you're bringing, and your transparency of everything, man, and your perspective. So thank you, man. Thank you for being more than just an interview. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Conversation has to continue after the show. Definitely.
Listen, the only thing wrong, we got to break some bread. We got to get some food in on this, and we're good.
Absolutely.
I know that's right,
Amen.
man. Absolutely.
Amen.
Now, J-Rob, the wise son. Hey, man, can you let everybody hear some of this poetry you got, brother?
Yeah, I got something. I've been going through the files because I have an event tomorrow that so I'm a member of the Harlem Writers Guild. I was invited to come through, and the Harlem Writers Guild was started by I believe Paul Robeson back in the day, and it's an invitation only thing. If somebody got a chance to hear me and invited me, and I get a chance to perform tomorrow, and this is one of the pieces that I'm going to drop. So with your at your will, I'd like to introduce you to the piece called Ancestral.
The mic is yours.
People will say that I write poetry. I told them that I try to capture the voices of God's oppressed people that live in conditions that are considered evil. And while we still are one people whose decades of souls have no voices and need to be heard, I ask, who speaks for them? When they're dead and buried and since their lips are sealed and their wounds have finally healed, if I could just take all of the stems from trees in order to make pens and use all the earth's water to turn into ink, there wouldn't be enough pages from papyrus to adequately prepare you for the stories that you're about to read. Yet we continue to chase utopia, a perfect place in the hearts and minds of a people that don't want anything else except to be free. But who are we? We are a people known by many names given to us like a fake gift, as if we should be thankful for God's sake, and it's still called crap when you pour syrup on it, just like it's pancakes, as if it would still be us that we take place. So I try to write in hopes that someone, someday, somewhere, somebody might be influenced, and hopefully all of this will affect change for my ancestors. In peace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Johnny, what you think about that piece?
I told y'all, man, the feds watching, man. We can have all this consciousness in the same place, man. Watch this. I guarantee you, next week they're gonna have some law they pass saying y'all can't have a blog talk show like this anymore. It's stirring up the good whatever folk or whatever. But no, I think man, brother, that's the listen. I'm gonna be totally 100% honest with you. I'm so excited because it's very few times that without people that I really know or people that I've known for years, that I can just be myself around and have a conversation and not have to worry about, okay, well, if I disagree with this brother going to be mad or blah, blah, blah. Not that I really put a lot of emphasis on that, but it's like I really look forward to this wasn't an accident, and I look forward to all of our sisters, y'all included, we need to continue to grow and sit down and talk, man. I'm looking forward to it. And that's a dope piece, you know what I'm saying? And it's a reflection of, it seems like who you are as a person. So, yeah, we definitely got to break some bread and, you know, put some stuff in order.
Amen. Thank you, good brother. I deeply appreciate you. And thank you, too, Van. And ladies, I really appreciate
you.
Oh, thank you, man. Love that piece.
J-Rob, let everybody know what you got going on Monday night.
Man, Monday night, it is the Get Down on Epiphany Radio, starting at 9 p.m., featuring yours truly, J-Rob, the wise son, and the co-host that everybody's trying to get a hold of, my man, my brother, my friend, Van Meadows, a.k.a. Poetic. And this is starting to build into something pretty nice, and you don't want to miss out next Monday. It's going to be real special. I'll keep the title of the show in my breast pocket until Van gives me the okay, but trust me, regardless of what it is, y'all got to tune in. This is going to be really hot.
Indeed, man. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it, man. Listen, still looking for my guest poet host of the evening, Epiphany's guest poet host of the evening. So if you're tuned in and you're listening, and you're available Monday night from 9 to 11 p.m., you know, we might go a little bit over to 12. That's okay. Extra hour. Hit my inbox. Let me know you're available so that we can get you scheduled. And if not this week, maybe the next week or the following week. But let us know. Hey, my brother, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. It's happening on the Get Down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Get Down. Man, the Just Us League. All right, my good brother.
Hey, listen, I'm going to go slide over there. I think you got some bubbly or you got some music and somebody dancing, so I'm going to go slide over there for a little bit, listen to the rest of the show.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, my brother.
Peace and love. Take care, everyone.
Peace, family.
All right, you too, J-Rob. Man, who done called the FBI, man? Who did it?
I told you they was watching.
Who did it?
I think that's me and my queen would have to be in the same room, so I had to go to the other room. But she wanted to let you guys know, man. Dope show.
Thank you, man. Was that her that just spit that piece?
She spit the Emmett Till piece. Yeah, that was her.
My God. Let her know that, man, listen, that piece was everything. That piece was everything.
Do that.
I mean, I was in that piece like, man, like, ooh, she going in. Ooh, she going in.
Man, listen, please quit saying that, man. Her head not gonna be able to fit through the door. Like, please.
Hey, now I see it.
I want to invite you guys, man. Every Thursday we do a show at Blues Boulevard in Spartanburg. And you know, I don't know where everybody else is, but I know.
Yo, that's where I saw you from. That's where I saw you from. That's where I saw. Yes. Now the connection is coming together. Yeah, I saw you know how you get the little event alerts
Facebook
happening in your area?
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
I said, I have got to get down there one day. I've got to get down there one day. And it's always on the Thursday night. And I usually had 2 shows on Thursdays, but I might have to go AWOL. I might have to go AWOL and make that drive. Because it's only about an hour and some change from me.
About an hour,
not
15
that far.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's like 45 minutes to me. Yeah. As long as I don't get caught.
I tell you what, man, what we can do, man, definitely come up and spit, man, and typically, you know, we'll see about, you know, getting your feature or something, and what we typically do is try to get you a feature like with us, and then whatever else is close around, So what we always try to do when poets come is to get them here, get them at coffee, get them wherever for that week, so they can really financially do real well. But we have a lot of fun, and this week we got last week we had LJ out of Fayetteville. We did what's called Poetry and Comic Books, and this week we have
D-Dub. Oh my God! Did you just say Poetry and Comic Books? J-Rob, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Poetry and Comic Books.
Man, I got like 1,000 strong in my collection, and J-Rob.
So let me ask you, who you guys rock with? Y'all DC or y'all Marvel?
Bro, I'm Marvel all day. I'm Marvel all day.
My lady just said, watch they say Marvel. They're going to be Marvel all day.
I'm Marvel all day. I'm
Marvel.
What did you say, Sexy Sage?
I'm almost definitely Marvel.
See,
hey, listen,
most people... No, go ahead, Johnny.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to give y'all a character to look up. I didn't know about this character. I found out about him way later, but it's a character. I'm not sure what he is, but he's called Blue Marvel. Have you guys ever heard of him?
Blue Marvel? No, I haven't heard of him. Blue Marvel?
Okay, very very quickly. Blue Marvel was a superhero like in the 60s, and he was fighting this guy that nobody could beat, and he ended up beating the guy, but during the process, his mask came off. And when the mask came, it kind of split, and the world saw that he was Nubian, that he looked like us. So white people got up in arms and said, no, he got to quit being a superhero, because what if, like, doing the civil rights, they get him on their side, and they, you know how they go. They're going to, take over. So the government asked him to stop being a superhero, and he chilled out. And then years later, the guy that he fought got out of whatever prison or whatever dimension they locked him in. He got out, and people were like, well, we can't defeat this guy. Well, how did y'all defeat him last time? And they was like, Blue Marvel. So they had to go ask him to come back to be a superhero to save them. So there's a lot of symbolism in that, but I really didn't know about him. I had a brother turn me on to him, then I looked him up, but he's a lot later. And I know y'all know about Monica Rambeau and all that, so.
Yeah, man. You just gave us something to go and research and chomping at the bits. I'm over here salivating. But see, I'm Marvel for different.
Right now.
Right, I know that's right. See, I'm Marvel for different reasons. I'm not Marvel because of the movies, because I was buying Marvel before they started making the movies. So my first 2 comic books. I can't remember the second one, but the first one actually was a DC comic book that I first bought when I was 13, and I still have that book to this day. It was a Firestorm.
Okay.
So, and I've been collecting since then. So I've got 30, 40 years worth of books just sitting around, and this new stuff is just crazy, but man.
We're gonna try to do poetry. This is our second year of doing poetry and comic books. I got another good friend of mine who's a comic book guy. He's a nerd, and we talk about stuff like that. He's real conscious too, and he was like, "Yo, let's put poetry in this." So we ask trivia questions throughout the night, and we'll play like theme music, from 1960s. Characters or whatever, and have the audience guess, and we give away prizes. But I will say, if you've never met LJ out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, LJ knows everything, and I do mean I tried to stomp him with. I talked to Aquaman himself and say no. He said nobody knows my middle name. I asked LJ, and he knew it. Like LJ knows everything about every comic ever made. So he's the perfect feature. You try to stump this guy, and he's like, nah. And he did get me one time. I can't remember the answer to the question, but the question was 2 questions. One was, I asked you guys, one was, because I'm a big Batman animated series guy, and he was like, what 2 villains on the Batman animated series were not originally from the comic book, but they liked the characters so much that they added them, to the series or whatever. So basically, what two people in the animated series were not part of the comic book, and one was Harley Quinn, and I can't remember who he said the other one was, but he asked who were the 6 people that played Robin. Who were the 6 Robins? I ask you all the same thing. Who were the 6 people that played Robin?
You talking about in the actual in the books themselves?
Yeah, in the comic books, who were the 6 people that played Robin?
Oh, well, see, I'm not going to be able to answer that because I'm not a DC fan.
PC guy, my fault. You're a Marvel guy, my fault.
Right. But, yeah, I'm not going to be able to answer that. I know Dick Grayson, but later it changed. Later it changed. So let me see if J-Rob, because I think J-Rob's DC. J-Rob, are you hearing this right now?
You finally brought me back on. Yes,
are you
man.
hearing this right now?
Yes, man. I'm sitting in my house screaming. I'm like, what? Comic books and poetry? I got to get out of here.
See, I told you, Johnny. I told you you couldn't listen. We are 3, 1 and alike. I'm telling you now, ladies. Please join in. If you are a comic book junkie like the rest of us, please join in. We don't mind.
Okay, I got my breath back. Because I was like, come on. And Van, I'm texting you while the show is going on. I'm like, unmute me, man. And just to give you an idea, he is 100% correct when he talked about Blue Marvel. But that comic book came on the scene in the height of the civil rights movement, and that's when, at the same token, that's when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby started to create African-American characters, because he said his first influence was MLK. And then when he heard the CBS show and was introduced to Malcolm X, he got a different perspective, and he started to appreciate Malcolm. So there were influences that made him draw African Americans in comic books, not as heavily as prevalent as some of the other characters that they had, but these started to bring on these characters as well. And just to give you another idea, and please excuse me for talking so fast because I'm animated when I talk about comics, but the fact is, the original Ms. Marvel was a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, now, you guys didn't hear it. Like my lady just say, "Yes."
No, I heard her.
You heard, yes. But I would say, I'll say this, man. It's so much. Like I told the guy, like a lot of people. You guys know, I know, of course, but like my chiropractor, he was a big comic books guy, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you know who Professor Xavier and Magneto was based off of. And he looked at me like I was crazy when I told him that. He was like, what? Like, no. But I was like, you got to understand, like, one thing I'll give Marvel credit for is that Marvel, because they came on later than DC, they really tried to address some things, however so subtle, with with like racism and different things like that. They tried to really address some of that. And I did a poem one time. I only did it like one time, but I did a poem one time about how Marvel didn't have secret identities. And it's like, who wants to be a superhero like all the time? And I kind of, related this back to poetry, like the everyday person, like who wants to be a hero all the time? But yeah, like that, like Marvel addressed a whole lot of things. And there's so many characters. Like when I started kind of just looking into stuff and researching it, I was like, man, I never heard of this guy. I never heard of these people. Like, when you see the bigger characters, like the Black Panthers, that you forget about. It's some other character I was researching that was like they stayed on an island that only appeared like every 100 years or something. So, yeah, like in comic books, kind of told the story of the day, kind of like poets. Like during World War II, you saw it talk about that. Like Nicolas Cage took his name from Luke Cage.
Yep. Yes, sir. And there's a comic.
Who the six Robins?
Oh,
I can only
name six Robins. Hold up. The six Robins. Now, please help me rock this out. I hope. I know everyone knows Dick Grayson, and we know Jason Todd because the Joker murdered him.
True.
We know Tim Drake.
True.
Hold on, we know Damian Wayne because he's psyotic because he's Ra's al Ghul's grandson.
True.
Damn it, we know Stephanie Brown.
That was a young lady that wore like the old school Robin outfit.
Yes,
the
sir.
other person, he told me, I can't ever remember him, but
Azriel?
he was like they were only, whoever it was, they were only Robin for like a hot second. They weren't Robin for long. But
it should have been Azriel, if I'm not mistaken, before Azriel donned the cape and cowl. Because it was while Robin was missing. Because it was a storyline while Batman was missing, and they were having what was called Battle for the Cowl, and Azriel took over and actually wound up becoming Batman while Batman was away for at least a year and a half, only to find out that he was being subjected to something else from the Joker and the Riddler together, where the Penguin came in and some other stuff. I'm sorry, fellas.
Hey,
man, listen.
I got somebody for LJ.
Listen.
One other quick thing. This is not a comic book thing, but he said, I'm telling you, I really rock with this brother. Y'all, this is the cool thing about poetry. Y'all got to meet some of these people. But he was like, he does like the Nerd Slam. It's so fried every year. And he was saying, when he featured last week, he was like, he said, what video, he got into video games, and he said, what video game was originally supposed to be Popeye, but they changed it. You know this?
I'm sorry.
You said what video game was supposed to be Popeye?
Yeah. When I heard the reaction, I was like, you probably already know. It was a video game, a super popular video game that was originally supposed to be based on Popeye and Olive Oyl and Pluto, or whatever. And Popeye was supposed to fight. It was Donkey Kong. Yeah, it was Donkey Kong. That's why they said like the female character kind of resembles
Donkey Kong,
Olive Oyl or whatever.
Okay.
But he was like, yeah, it's supposed to have been Popeye, trying to get Olive Oyl from Pluto, and because they couldn't do it because of some copyrights or something, they couldn't do it or whatever. So it went from there.
Something just came to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there in one of the Marvel Elseworlds or the Marvel 52s, there's a girl called Helena Wayne, and she's the byproduct of Bruce Wayne and Catwoman, and she became Robin for a hot second before the Azriel situation with the Battle for the Cowl? Because if that's the case, then she's the sixth one in Azriel.
You said that was her been Catwoman? Am I thinking Vixen?
Well,
I know her. Her and Vixen, him and Vixen fooled around. I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure. You know the answer?
I said it's not.
It's not Vixen. I know. I can't think of it because it was a sister that Batman dated for a while. I was trying to make sure that wasn't.
That was the original Black Canary.
I remember the Black Canary.
You're right.
The original Black Canary.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, bro. Listen, bro. You gotta come. You might be our feature next year for poetry and comic books, bro. You know what I'm saying? We need to get you up here for poetry and comic books for real.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in the game, coach. Hey, we have a lot. You know what? I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. I hate to even wait the next year, but what we're gonna do. We're gonna have you and LJ battle. We're gonna come up with like 20 nerd questions. You know what I'm saying? 10 apiece or whatever characters, like whoever your favorite characters are. And we're going to let y'all battle before y'all feature. We're going to do a dual feature, and we're going to let y'all battle, you know what I'm saying, to see who's going to be king of the nerds. You know what I'm saying?
Can we talk about some of the black comics that came out that DC and Marvel didn't want to distribute, but wind up actually trying to buy them out?
1,000%. 1,000%. Because the way that we even started doing this, besides just our love for comic books, was that when Black Panther came out, and we were like, it's Black History Month, blah blah blah. Let's do something. My man was like, yo, poetry and comic books, man. We both love comic books. We have everybody wear their favorite comic, T-shirt, and we'll ask them questions and have some fun. And last year, the first year doing something, it was okay as far as like crowd wise. And then this year, it was packed, and we had a good audience or whatever. A lot of new folks coming out. It was packed last year. I know the first. Is this the third year we did it or the second year? Okay, my lady said it was packed both years or whatever. So, but it just continued to grow, and we were like, we're gonna get some different features up here that like stuff like we like. And believe it or not, man, it was a lot of people think comic books, they think guys, but a lot of women are in the comics.
Just like
yeah,
cigars.
Man. Yeah, man. And it's funny. I got a friend, and she had posted a picture of Miss Marvel for the movie coming out this weekend, and I flat out asked her. I said, "What do you know about this? Do you just posting it just because it's trendy, or what do you know about this?" Oh man, she gave me a whole dissertation about the whole thing. I said, "You know what?" I said, "Just forget it. Marry me now." But brothers, we gotta end this show. Akil is not gonna let me host this show anymore. But Johnny, I want to say, man, it is a pleasure and an honor to meet your acquaintance, my brother. Your pen, your gift, everything that you're doing, even right down to your love of comic books, brother. I feel like that J-Rock, I feel like we got a twin that was lost at birth, and we just found him.
For real. Brother, if you can't, please look me up on Facebook, find me, tag me in on the friends list, and let's build, please. It was a pleasure getting a chance to speak to you.
I just looked it up. I sent you a friend request before. We were already friends, but I inboxed you my number. And what's your name on Facebook, J-Rock?
John Robinson.
I'm
and
about
I know
to
there's
hit
a
you
whole lot
now.
of John Robinsons, but if you put John Robinson, put John Robinson, Cardinal Hayes, and you'll see me.
Okay, well, it's going to come up Antonio, Johnny C. Weaver, Mac. Listen, y'all have an open invitation any Thursday. Y'all want to come up here and hang out with us on Thomas Takeover Thursdays. And listen, if y'all don't mind sleeping, well, I don't think y'all don't mind. We got a bedroom for you if y'all get sleepy and can't go back. But I'm going to tell you now, I got Batman on the wall. I'm looking at that Batman on the wall and the Joker and some stuff like that. So if y'all don't mind sleeping in my son's room with all that up there, y'all good.
I got two words for you, brother. Road trip.
I'm telling you now, brother. But listen, man. Out of all of the DC characters, Batman is my favorite. Not Superman. Not none of the Justice League. Just Batman. Cause see, I used to watch cartoons when I was younger, and I loved the Justice League, especially them little Wonder Twins. But I wonder why they didn't get their own little feature, because they were dynamic. But
they were Twins.
Go
activate.
On. They were freaks.
Man,
go on.
But Batman is by far he is by far one of the smartest heroes. Just all the way down to the way he thinks, his logic, and the fact that he won't kill anybody. I think he did one time though, and it bothered him.
He's killed a couple people.
Okay.
The theme is justice, not vengeance.
Right. And with him, man, I appreciate the thought process behind his heroism. So yeah, and plus the very first Batman movie made with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, best Batman movie ever. I don't care. We can debate. We can argue, but that's the best one.
I agree. 100%. I agree.
It's only the best because it was the first. But go on.
Well, I think
the best
because it did the whole funny part of the Joker. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of it was comical without it didn't get silly like the other ones did after that, like the one with the Penguin and all of that. And it didn't have
the Riddler
and I like the dark part, but it was just Jack Nicholson and it's my favorite. But I have to say this. I know we got to go, but I have to say this. I do agree with you, Batman. His contingency plan has a contingency plan. But
yes,
I think the coolest thing I like about Batman is that something traumatic happened to him to make him become a hero, or you guess a hero, anti-hero, a vigilante, however you want to put it. But the same thing happened to his villains. Something bad happened to most of them that turned them and made them go down the road they went down. And I think a thing I've always liked, I think Batman has some of the best villains, but the thing I always liked was that how much is that a reflection of life? You have something happen to you guys, and you're always like, okay, I know what's expected of me. I'm going to go down the right path. And we all have friends. Like I said, I got 2 friends that are doing life in prison. If they got out tomorrow, they'd be welcome in my home, and I would be safe. My lady would be safe. And if I told them I rock with y'all, guess what? Could nobody say nothing to y'all? That's just how they are. But, something happened with them, and they went down the other road. And I think that's the thing I love about Batman. It's like, he's a hero, but he's like he's a good bad guy. So, but listen, brothers, listen, y'all, listen. I peace to y'all. I'm gonna hit you up, brother.
Please do
tonight. And I'm gonna go ahead and send you a friend request. Like I said, y'all are welcome every Thursday. And I know I told Van this. You can talk to him. The 23rd and 24th of March, we have a huge event where we're giving away $2,000, and I would love for you guys to come up and just, hang out, break bread. It's, we I feed the poets every day that they're here. We have a picnic, and all that good stuff, and we have a kids workshop. So just hit me up, man. I'm gonna go ahead and hit these friend requests up and go from there, man. Appreciate y'all.
Road trip.
No, man, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Epiphany Radio Spotlight. That voice you just heard was our guest artist, Johnny C. Weaver. Tune in tomorrow with your boy For Real the Poet on the Neo Soul Cafe, 7 p.m. Same number, not the same time, but same number. J-Rob, thank you, my brother. Man, great having you here. Johnny,
thank you again.
You're awesome, brother. I'm so glad that we have found another twin, man, and I'm looking forward to the phenomenal things that we can do together. Number 1, as men. Number 2, as brothers. And number 3, as caring fathers who cares not only about ours, but about others, too.
No doubt.
Amen.
No doubt.
All right, my brothers,
Peace.
be blessed. Have a great evening. Peace.
Peace and blessings.
Peace.